Have you ever really thought about how a life-saving drug makes that incredible journey from a factory, maybe halfway across the world, all the way to your local pharmacy? It's a journey that demands absolute precision. The stakes couldn't be higher. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the complex system that tries to make it all happen.
It's something we kind of take for granted, right? But behind the scenes, it is a constant, frantic race against time, against shifting demand, and all sorts of unexpected disruptions. And for way too long, the system orchestrating this whole race has been operating in a state of, well, organized chaos.
So traditionally, this is what it looked like. Just chaos. You've got your commercial teams, your manufacturing folks, and the finance department all working in their own little worlds with their own separate plans. This means a ton of guesswork, and a tiny little miscalculation in demand at one pharmacy can send these massive, amplified shockwaves all the way back to the factory. That right there, that's the bullwhip effect. And in this industry, the consequence of that chaos, it puts patients directly at risk.
But there is a better way. It's called Integrated Business Planning, or IBP. And listen, don't let the kind of boring corporate name fool you. Think of IBP as the central nervous system for the entire company. It's this unified strategy that connects every single department, demand, supply, finance, into one smart, real-time plan. It's how you finally bring some order to all that chaos. All right, so to really get why IBP is such a game changer, we first have to dive into the very unique, very difficult challenges of the pharmaceutical supply chain. Look, making medicine is not like making t-shirts. Production alone can take months, sometimes longer. And switching a manufacturing line from one drug to another, it's a super complex, heavily regulated process. On top of that, every single batch has to be meticulously tracked under what's called Good Manufacturing Practice, or GMP requirements. These aren't just little logistical headaches, they are massive, unmoving constraints that make planning an absolutely monumental task.
So, how on earth does IBP even begin to tackle this kind of complexity? Well, it all starts with one thing: being able to see the future with way more clarity. This is a concept called demand sensing, and this is where things get really cool. We're moving way beyond just looking at what we sold last year. IBP uses AI and machine learning to analyze a huge range of data. We're talking everything from disease trends and what competitors are doing to demographic shifts, and it uses all that to create a hyper-accurate forecast. It's literally about spotting market shifts before they actually happen.
And the results? They're pretty staggering. Companies that put this into practice see a 25 to 50% improvement in their forecast accuracy. I mean, that's not a small tweak. That is a fundamental, game-changing transformation in a company's ability to predict what's coming.
Now, a better forecast is great, but it's pretty useless if you can't act on it, right? So the next step is connecting all that intelligence to the physical world of manufacturing and inventory.
Let me show you the difference in a nutshell. The old way is like you're constantly trying to balance on a seesaw. Too little stock, patients might go without. Too much stock, and you've got super expensive drugs just expiring on the shelf. But with an integrated IBP approach, companies can maintain service levels over 99%, putting just the right amount of inventory exactly where it's needed. This massively reduces both waste and risk. It's a night and day difference.
In fact, get this, companies can cut their overall inventory by 15 to 30%. Now just think about that for a second. That's less money tied up in warehouses, less waste from expired products, all while making sure that the medicine is actually more available to the patients who need it. And that intelligence creates a ripple effect that goes right back to the factory floor. By optimizing production schedules and just using their global network of factories more efficiently, companies can actually slash their production costs by as much as 20%. Okay, so we've got a better forecast and we have smarter operations. But what about the money? How does IBP make sure that every single one of those decisions, from the forecast to the factory, actually helps the bottom line?
Well, because IBP connects everything in real time, the financial picture becomes crystal clear almost instantly. Think about this: the time it takes for a company to close its books each month. It just plummets from a grueling 10 days down to just 3. That is a huge leap in efficiency.
And by synchronizing inventory, accounts receivable, and accounts payable, companies see a 20 to 40% improvement in their cash flow, which, as you know, is the absolute lifeblood of any business. And finally, the big one, the
the bottom line. With a real-time view of profitability, companies can make way smarter decisions about which products to prioritize, and that can lead to a potential 5 to 15% jump in gross margins. It's all about focusing your resources on making and selling the most valuable medicines.
So this all sounds pretty amazing, I know, but you can't just flip a switch and have a perfect IBP system overnight. It's a journey. It's a whole process of organizational maturity.
This journey is often mapped out on something called a maturity model. It starts at level 1, which is just total chaos, constant firefighting. From there, companies build out some foundational processes, then they move to true integration, where departments are actually talking to each other. And the goal, the ultimate goal, is to reach full collaboration and finally, the peak of strategic excellence.
But here's the really surprising part. Most pharmaceutical companies today, they're only at level 2 or 3. They've started the journey, sure, but there's still a really long way to go. And this just highlights the enormous opportunity for improvement that still exists across the entire industry.
So what does it actually look like when a company finally reaches the top of that mountain? What's the ultimate payoff for getting to IBP excellence? The numbers really do speak for themselves. You see these huge gains everywhere. Service levels are up, inventory's down, working capital soars, and maybe most impressively, the speed of decision-making improves by 70%. The entire organization is just transformed. It becomes more agile, more resilient, and ultimately a whole lot more intelligent.
But let's bring this all back to what really truly matters. I mean, we can talk about percentages and profits all day long, but IBP is about so much more than that. Because in the pharmaceutical world, a stockout isn't just a missed sale. It's a patient who might not get the medicine they absolutely depend on. And the implications for health and safety, they are very, very real.
And so that really leaves us with one final question. In a world that's defined by constant disruption, from pandemics to supply shocks, is it even possible to have an intelligent, resilient plan without this kind of total end-to-end integration? It's definitely something to think about.